Batman and Robin, issue 6, legacy number 72. Joshua Williamson writing with Nikola Shemeshka on the art.
We're getting better. We're getting better.
Give it my all right? So it's just me reading this. So it's so funny because I would not describe this book as one that I'm particularly looking forward to. It's an easy read. I enjoy parts of it. It's definitely, it's Williamson, so it's got its ups and its downs. I find it more tolerable than some of his other stuff. But the bar after Batman in Action was so relatively low that surely this is a step up, right? Surely?
I'm hoping you say yes.
So anyway, what I was getting at though is higher or lower than Action Comics do you think my rating is going to be?
I think it's going to be higher than Action Comics, but just because who's on the art here might be better than Tim's, but the writing is definitely, you're going to like what's going on in the story more. But then I just peeked and saw that's about Shush. So maybe not. I don't know.
Not really, actually. I mean,
okay.
Damien accuses a teacher of being shush.
Okay.
But there's not a lot of shush stuff in this. I mean, remember the last issue ended with the kid in his class turned out to be the son of Victor Zsasz.
Yes.
Right? So the first half of the issue deals with that. Turns out he's not actually Victor Zsasz's son. He just thinks he is.
Okay.
Right? Because Zsasz is getting prison transferred, and this kid skips school. He shows up in what I can only describe as like a ninja hoodie, but it's got the tally marks all over it. So it's like he's not actually got them on his body, but he's got a hoodie that has them on it.
That's a good look, though. I appreciate that look.
And he comes in, he helps Zsasz, he gives him his knife. Batman and Robin were suspicious and following him, so they jump in and they have a bit of a fight. There's some blades flying to people. Damien pulls the mask off the other kid, and Zsasz grabs the kid, holds a knife to his throat, and this kid's like, yes, I can be your hostage, anything for you. And the whole thing's going on. And then eventually when Damien's got Zsasz down and he's got his knife to his throat, and Damien's being all like, oh, maybe it's time to finally end you, Zsasz, because he's Damien, right? He speaks a big game. This kid cries out, no, leave my father alone. And then Zsasz looks over and he's like, huh? And then starts laughing hysterically. And he's like, I'm not your father. And you definitely wouldn't be my son, you blubbering little pissant. Basically just mocks him, tells him he's a whiny little hissy because he's crying. And then Batman knocks him out. So it turns out that Zsasz killed this kid's parents a number of years ago. And the kid, to try and deal with the memory, convinced himself that Zsasz was his real father, and that he was trying to save him from his like evil parents that had taken him in. And this was like,
that's dark.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's just really disturbed and convinced himself that Zsasz is his father, which he isn't. So, also Zsasz repeatedly says throughout this whole affair that he has no problem killing kids. He likes doing it. It's just to add to the stakes.
I love how debaucherous Zsasz is, though. He's one of those villains. Like, I don't want a whole arc of Zsasz, but when he shows up like this in small doses,
just a little taste every now and then. So basically, though, Damien's convinced that the kid was a good fighter, though, so he must have been trained. Therefore, this woman who he thinks was his trainer back in the day must be the teacher. I remembered it being his. Maybe I was just theorizing that it was his like science teacher and not the principal, but he accuses the principal. I think I predicted that it's going to turn out to be the teacher that's nice to him, not the principal who's kind of mean, because Swerve, but they've not revealed that yet. That's just my guess. But the principal's like, I don't know what you're talking about, young Mr. Wayne, but I am just the soccer coach, and we have lost our goalie because he's went to a mental institute because he thinks he's Victor Zsasz's son.
Oh God, and he was the goalie. Goalies are, I don't know if it's the same in soccer, but they always say that the goalie in hockey is the most unhinged, because to want a frozen piece of rubber shot at you multiple times a game, you have to not be right in the head. I don't know if it's the same with soccer, though.
I have no idea. I think they just like the extra power because they can touch the ball with their hands. So it's like, oh.
Well, and me being the chubby kid, always wanted to play because, you don't have to run as much. You can just be in goal, so.
Yes. Some of the kids pick on Damien and call him Art Boy. Bruce is standing there while he's making all these accusations, so he hears some of this. So later that night, Bruce comes to Damien's room and asks him what this art boy thing was about. Like, why were they picking on you and calling you that? And Damien shows him his comic book sketches that he's made. That, you know, and obviously they saw him drawing this in a previous issue, and that's why they were making fun of him. And he's basically made a story called what, Damien Vane and the Murder of Crows. And it's a villain with he's called the Crow Prince or something. He's got like a crown and there's crows, and he's basically written a comic book, and there's narration boxes of like Batman and Damien talking about what he's done, and he's explaining his ideas, and Bruce gets all proud and says, "Oh, you're a great artist, son. This is great." Blah blah blah, right? And he basically says, "Hey, you don't have to go to school. I realized I was kind of forcing you to do this because it felt like the right thing to do, but I never went to high school. And maybe I'm trying to force you to not be you." But Damien's like, actually, no. And he doesn't really get a finished answer because an alarm goes off because there's been an alert, something to do with Man-Bat. Because that was like something that was set up at the start of the arc. Man-Bat's doing stuff. He's got like a cult of followers who are all chanting and saying, "Raise the bat," blah, 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 blah. At the end of the issue, is out of nowhere, just as they're about to jump in and deal with this cult, someone else takes them all out, and it's Flatline, who jumps up to Damien and says, "Hey, stranger, you don't call, you don't write. Can we talk?" And then the final panel is just a panel of Batman with the biggest shining grin in his face, just saying, "Friend of yours, son?" So I think he's proud because he thinks his son's got a girlfriend, which he kind of does.
He does.
Yeah.
Good, so, I like Flatline. We need more Flatline.
I mean, I like the Flatline and Damien stuff and Robin, which was also Williamson, so I have reasonable hopes for this. Like, it was almost like the book was threatening me with going back to the Man-Bat stuff, because that that side of the plot was the stuff that I wasn't enjoying in the book. Yeah. But as soon as they almost did it, it was like, no, it's Flatline stuff now. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm enjoying the Damien in high school stuff. I'm enjoying the, like, one of the teachers might be a baddie. I like Flatline, so I'm having fun overall. And the Zaz stuff was delightfully dark. Like, I had a good time with that. It was a nice payoff to everything last week. I wouldn't call it like a must-read comic by any means, but I certainly had way more fun with it than anything in the previous two books I read. So, art is solid. It's definitely got a bit of a like an anime style at times with some of the smiles and the faces and whatnot, but it kind of works for the energy of the book. I will say Batman being the proud dad with a big smile on his face, it does feel a little bit like out of character almost. Like, I get that he's happy, I understand the joke, but I feel like giving him like the animated series smirk would probably be better than this goofy like, my boy.
You know what though? Bruce has a tendency to fall for darker women. You know what I mean? Talia, Selena. So of course, like, Dick, whether it's Starfire or Babs, right? Those are heroes. We don't talk about Jason's life that much. And then Tim has a good boy right now, right? Like, he's not a villain. So he's like father, like son. Finally, one of my boys is following my footsteps.
That was just a weird way. Tim has a good boy right now. It sounds like a dog.
Yeah, no, because he's not a villain. He's a civilian. You know what I mean? So you know, and even before that, when he had Stephanie really wasn't a villain. You know, no.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm praising Williamson more than Jason Aaron and Chip Zdarsky, but here we are.
Isn't it weird?
It's just this bizarro land, I guess.
Yeah. You know what though? He's always had a touch for writing Damien, right? So it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, it's not without its faults, but definitely these last 2 or 3 issues that have, once it got past those first 2 or 3, which were more focused on the shush and Man-Bat stuff, now it's doing more of the character stuff. I'm enjoying it a bit more. So yeah, it was a nice little 7 out of 10. I had a good time. So I won that round because that was more than the 6. 5.5 is what I gave Action Comics. 5.5. Okay. I mean, you're still right, but yes. Don't want anyone spreading rumors that I give that a 6.